When a seemingly ordinary afternoon turned into a moment that shook an entire city, no one could have predicted the chain reaction that would follow. It all began with something as simple as a hat. A hat that wasn't just a piece of fabric, it was a statement, a symbol, and for some, a provocation. Barron Trump, now a poised young man in his late teens, walked into a well-known Los Angeles restaurant, La Teresa. This wasn't just any restaurant. La Teresa was a symbol of exclusivity, the kind of place where powerful conversations happened over perfectly plated meals. Celebrities dined there, corporate leaders closed deals there, and influencers snapped their envy-inducing photos there. Barron had visited before and always appreciated its calm elegance. That day, Barron was in his usual laid-back attire, but one item stood out, a bright red MAGA hat resting comfortably on his head. He wore it without any intention of stirring the pot, just like one would wear their favorite cap or shirt. But that hat? That wasn't just any hat. It carried weight, meaning, and controversy. As Barron entered, he was greeted by a hostess who didn't seem to bat an eye at his attire. He was seated near a corner, a table that gave him some privacy but still offered a good view of the room. The restaurant wasn't bustling, it was that golden hour between lunch and dinner. A few diners were chatting quietly, the clinking of glasses and soft hum of conversation filling the air. Barron picked up the menu, looking for his usual order. He was lost in thought, barely noticing the whispers that started to ripple across the room. A man at a nearby table leaned over to his partner, murmuring something while gesturing subtly toward Barron. Two waiters near the bar exchanged glances, their whispers barely audible but clearly about the young man in the hat. Then came the moment that changed everything. The restaurant manager, a tall man in his mid-40s with a sharp suit and even sharper attitude, made his way toward Barron's table. His steps were brisk, purposeful, and his expression left no room for doubt. This wasn't going to be a friendly conversation. "Excuse me," the manager said, loud enough for other diners to hear. Barron looked up, mildly surprised but composed. "Yes?" "We have a policy against political apparel in this restaurant," the manager continued, his tone firm but controlled. "I'm going to have to ask you to remove the hat." Barron tilted his head slightly, considering the man's words. His voice was calm when he replied, "I wasn't aware of such a policy." "Is it posted anywhere?" The manager gestured vaguely toward the entrance. "It's in our code of conduct. We aim to keep this a neutral space for all guests." Barron nodded slowly, processing the situation. He wasn't confrontational by nature, and he had no intention of making a scene. "I'm just here for lunch," he said evenly, his voice carrying no malice, only honesty. The manager's stance stiffened. "You need to take the hat off, or I'll have to ask you to leave." A silence fell over the room. The diners who had been trying to discreetly listen were no longer pretending. All eyes were on Barron now. Barron stood up, his movements measured and deliberate. "If that's how you feel, then I'll leave," he said, his tone respectful but resolute. He picked up his belongings, leaving the glass of water he hadn't touched. As he walked out, the room seemed to hold its breath. Outside, Barron paused. The sun was still shining, the day was as beautiful as ever, but his mood had shifted. He adjusted his hat slightly and took a deep breath. He wasn't angry, disappointed, maybe, but not angry. He'd been raised to believe in kindness and understanding, even in the face of conflict. This moment, however, felt like a test of those principles. The fallout begins. Back inside the restaurant, the atmosphere was tense. The manager returned to the bar, but his confidence was already starting to waver. A waiter approached him cautiously. "Do you think that was the right call?" The manager waved him off. "It's my restaurant. We have rules for a reason." But the staff wasn't the only group questioning his decision. Word of the incident spread quickly, as diners posted about it on social media. They kicked out Baron Trump for wearing a hat, one post read, accompanied by a blurry photo. Another said, freedom of expression? Not at La Teresa. Within hours, the restaurant's name was trending. Opinions were divided. Some applauded the manager for standing by his policies, while others accused him of intolerance. The restaurant's social media pages were flooded with comments, some supportive, but many critical. Meanwhile, Barron sat on a park bench a few blocks away, scrolling through messages from friends. That's ridiculous, one text read. You handled it way better than I would have, said another. Barron wasn't looking for sympathy, but the responses made him reflect. What could he do with this moment? How could he turn this negativity into something meaningful? An idea began to take shape, a way to address the incident while promoting unity and understanding. The plan takes shape. That evening, Barron got to work. He made phone calls, scribbled notes in his leather-bound notebook, and began outlining a plan. His idea? A public fundraiser aimed at fostering dialogue and community. He decided to hold the event right outside La Teresa. The location wasn't just symbolic, it was strategic. By hosting the fundraiser there, he could turn a place of conflict into a space for connection. Barron reached out to local organizations, influencers, and friends, rallying support for his vision. The response was overwhelmingly positive. People were eager to help, drawn by his calm demeanor and constructive approach. The day of the fundraiser. The following morning, the street in front of La Teresa was transformed. Volunteers set up tables, banners, and a small stage. Food trucks lined the sidewalk, and booths showcased local charities. A large banner above the stage read, "United we stand, building bridges, not walls." By midday, a crowd had gathered. Families, activists, and curious onlookers filled the space, creating a lively, inclusive atmosphere. Barron took the stage, microphone in hand. His voice was steady but filled with emotion. Yesterday, I was asked to leave this restaurant because of a hat, he began. I respect their policies, even if I don't agree with them. But this isn't about a hat. It's about something bigger. We've become so quick to judge each other, to take sides, to shut down conversations. That's not who we are. We can do better. The crowd erupted in applause. Barron continued, this event isn't about me, and it's not about them. It's about all of us, finding ways to listen, to understand, and to come together. The energy in the crowd was electric. People mingled, shared stories, and connected in ways they hadn't expected. A turning point. Inside La Teresa, the scene was starkly different. The dining room was nearly empty, and the manager stood by the window, watching the fundraiser. He hadn't anticipated this response. One of his staff members approached him. You should go out there, the waiter said. Talk to him. The manager hesitated, his pride battling with his growing sense of regret. Finally, he nodded and stepped outside. Approaching Barron, the manager extended his hand. I didn't expect this, he admitted. But I see now that you've turned this into something positive. For that, I respect you. Barron shook his hand, his expression sincere. It's not about who was right or wrong. It's about finding common ground. The legacy of the moment. The fundraiser was a resounding success, raising thousands of dollars for community programs. But its impact went beyond the money. It sparked conversations about tolerance, understanding, and the power of turning conflict into connection. Barron's actions earned widespread praise, not just for his calm response to the incident but for his ability to inspire unity in the face of division. As the event wrapped up, Barron addressed the crowd one last time. Today, we showed that even in moments of conflict, we can find ways to come together. Let's carry this spirit forward. The applause was deafening, a testament to the power of his message. What's next? the story doesn't end here. This incident was just one moment in a larger journey, one that challenges all of us to think about how we respond to conflict and how we can turn division into dialogue. For the next video, here's a question to ponder. What happens when two world leaders find themselves in a room together with no translators, no advisors, and only their wits to guide them? Stay tuned for more fascinating stories. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to keep the conversation going. Let's explore more stories that inspire, challenge, and unite us.